Okay. So I guess I'm live now, right? So this is my first one. I don't really know if anyone's going to show up because there's some people doing some lives at this time already, but I still kind of wanted to just talk about the subject at hand. Okay. So I guess I'm live now, right? What I wanted to talk about today is life's big question. Why are we here, right? Well, from what I can see, I judge this based on what I see when things go wrong, what the answer is, what usually is able to restore peace. And just, you know, as part of my paradigm, I'm not necessarily religious anymore. I was raised Christian, but I don't subscribe to Christianity anymore as it stands today because I believe that the people who practice Christianity have turned it into a way to stomp on other people to get to the top of a worldly value system. It praises money, the love of money. And so, for that reason, I don't subscribe to what it has become at this moment. There are a lot of things that happen out there in the world. And for instance, the whole thing with I feel like we as people can't have it both ways. So I consider myself to be more spiritual. I have a relationship with a power that is greater than myself. I haven't defined it because I don't think it's my job to define it. I don't owe anyone an explanation. It has to define itself to you if it chooses to. Something put all of this in place and in motion billions of years ago, and it works lock and step with one another like a cog in a machine with other cogs. And it doesn't need help from us to do so. So I know it wasn't me because I just got here, relatively speaking. But whatever did has had a plan. And I believe that a lot of the times when we experience something bad on this planet and in interactions with other people, it is because we are getting in the way of that plan. We aren't given the answers anymore. It's not going to be easy anymore because of disobedience, not paying attention. Our parents usually get mad at us when we're in our childhood for not doing so. That's supposed to be one of the jobs that we learn as children to pay attention, to do things that would help sustain a place for all of us to be. So, my answer is that the purpose of life is to learn how to coexist and make this planet that we have to live on thrive. And I think that that can help us end in a peaceful existence. So, how does that relate to the things that I'm seeing in the news nowadays? Well, as much as I would like to and love to believe that T.I. is trolling, I believe he's very serious. And I'm upset with the way he chose to be involved in his daughter's life. There are some parents that leave. There are parents that are not the full time parent after the relationship breakup, but the one who stays gets all of the accolades and praise for doing something that they were supposed to do. The other person being derelict in their responsibility doesn't mean that you just staying is now the new bar. So he's in his daughter's life, and I'm proud of him. And I think that he's trying. But in my opinion, there was a better way for this to happen. Women are outraged at this because we know what it's like to go to a gynecologist's office. When we take ourselves in adulthood, we're going to make sure that we're okay. We're going to make sure that we're healthy and to answer any questions that we might have about fertility or anything, any problem that's come up where things aren't working the way that we all as a society understand science to believe that it should. And I chose that phrase because we've had trouble with managing women throughout history. Remember the Dark Ages? Men who were scientists literally thought that our uterus roamed around in our body and that makes us hysterical at right some point in the month right before we're capable, right before we find out that we're not able to bear children for them, and that drives us insane. So they don't really take women seriously. This was a real leading idea in science at one point. Somebody was unhappy with that answer. And then they got other people to help them investigate. And now we have what's called modern medicine for a reason, because we didn't just settle for the status quo. So to me, the one who stays, you still have a job to do before you can brag on being the one that stays. And him saying that in an interview screamed, in my opinion, hey, all of my friends, other men that look up to me, I'm proud of him for trying to make it cool for men to be in their daughter's lives and to care about protecting her innocence. But it screamed ego. And the reason is because he could tell, like the people around him, where were the women around him? He can go to the gynecologist's office. I mean, I do think that we need to remove the shame and the curse surrounding female health, that we should have rites of passage in a woman's life. And if we do that, she would be too busy to just give up all of her hard work to some boy because he's bringing her, you know, McDonald's combos, and when her parents would only let her get like the hamburger because they got food at home or something, right? And a little just truth and jest. But I think it's laziness because no one enjoys that. We go because we have to, because we don't really know all of what's going on. We know what's going on with us, but not everything. Oh, hi there, Ward. How's sweetie? Hope you're studying and getting ready for semester break. Um, we go and it's not a fun thing. We're already apprehensive. The instruments are cold. This is a stranger, usually, you know, somebody that we wouldn't look at twice in real life, and you know, it it's not a fun thing to go to. And so if your family was there in the waiting room and praying and offering support and, you come out to like a bouquet of flowers or something, that would be lovely. The problem that I'm having is that there's a better way to know if your daughter's a virgin? And then why are you announcing it to other people? He could have just said, I know that my daughter is a good woman and she's doing what she's supposed to do. And then focus on what she's doing as her actions. Don't reduce your own child down to vagina. I do understand. I completely understand why men feel that a woman's value is her vagina. It is the womb. It does create your legacy and your children. I get it. But as her father, you aren't the one to advertise her. The suitors come up to you and they tell you what they have to offer your daughter for the possibility of continuing their legacy through her body. Make them earn it. He's just handing it out. And he's going to check to see has she been sexually active, not about whether she's healthy. So many other things could have happened. There are people who are born with, like disorders because of the food, because of the air that we have to live in nowadays, all kinds of reasons outside of her being sexually active. That's the only thing he focused on in that doctor's appointment. That's the only thing that he focused on in that interview. And this was all to tell his friends that I'm being a good dad. If he's going to speak out to be the model of a good dad, I want him to say other things to help the other people who have daughters who might be struggling. Shout out to all of the men who are raising daughters as a single father that don't have their mother or their sister's help. That, you know, they may not have a good woman that they trust being a stepmom. She is going to need a woman's advice because it's an emotional thing. How to handle, how to navigate all of the things that menstruation comes with. He cannot do those. So he's gonna need, if he's gonna be the voice to other dads, single or not, I feel like he missed an opportunity. So he basically is saying he takes her to the doctor. If her hymen's still there, all right, high five myself. I'm a good dad. She ain't fucking. Yay me. What about all the other stuff that you're teaching her that other dads would need to know that they need to teach their children? And from a man who is intelligent and went through whatever he had to go through to have a background, I'm glad he changed his life and he made it through. But that doesn't mean he gets to rest on that now. He has, if you want to step out there as being the spokesman for, I'm going to start a controversy, I'm going to be the first dad to say that I checked my daughter to see if she's sexually active. Okay, well, I hope you have more interviews scheduled where you're going to talk about the other things that you do to make sure that your daughter is becoming a well-rounded and a good woman. The thing with DJ Kid, yeah, the fathers were missing, but the mothers were the ones that stayed. So they don't get to rest on their laurels either. If we're going to learn how to coexist, the end goal to childhood should be becoming a well-rounded individual, someone who can contribute to society. And if they need a little help from time to time, then they know how to contribute. They know what their talents are. They have something to offer. Hi, Jonathan Phillips. Yeah, T.I. is weird because it sounded obsession. It sounded like an obsession, in my opinion. And it made it worse to say that he does this yearly. I want to hear from him more things that he does to ensure that he's raising a good woman, which speaks to my next point. If women can't raise, I'm sorry, I think I have a cold because of this weather change. Like 2 days ago, it was hot, stomach out in November, and now today I'm wrapped up in a leather jacket, but it's all right. Um, if you guys believe that women can't raise women to be wives that men would want and love and cherish, right? I hope he uses this platform that, like, maybe her being a virgin was just the first thing on the list. I will admit that he has said in the past that he's proud of her for graduating college, which a lot of men usually don't like, right? So I'm hearing. But I don't think that they hate the degree itself. I think they hate the attitude that comes with the degree. But that attitude can be manufactured, because a person who did not have that attitude when they graduated with a college degree would develop it after being told so often that that's the attitude that they're going to end up with, and treat it as such. At some point, if they don't break for temptation, it will become a point of survival. Just putting that out there, guys. So, just so you know. But back to the DJ Kids situation, where those mothers, they might have driven the dads away, but there were other men in the community next to those mothers. I am a believer that it does take both parents. And in the absence of one, our community comes around and envelops the child. You don't have to date the single mother. You don't. But that child is part of all of our future, and it's going to impact us. And you know why these kids that you guys throw away, you know why they grow up? And when they finally get caught by law enforcement, what's the first thing they say? Nobody looked out for me. These kids walk past so many adults in their daily life, and not one has stood out to them or even walked up to them and approached them, because you're afraid and don't want to interact with the loudmouth mother. She's like that because it works. Eventually, she would get tired. I am a single mother. I think the people that have talked to me have known that. But I do not support or condone the loudmouth ones. The ones that tell their kids that now, since some guy didn't do what she wanted to do, now the kids aren't supposed to question her or ask her anything about her moral standing because she stayed. I do not support that. That is a different type of single mother that I think is being very selfish. If you need concert tickets so bad, hi, Cool Gent 87, how are you? Good afternoon. If you need tickets to something so bad, maybe you need to pick up an extra shift at work. Why is that not an option before you sell your child to some guy that you barely know? Because had any of those women ever even had a conversation with that guy, they would have kept their kids away. But let's face it, these are the mothers that didn't keep their kids away from that guy. You know why my kid was not on those pictures? Because she has both me and her father in her life telling her about her actual value. Vagina's on the list, but it's not the top one. Because if you get her brain together, the vagina will follow. And you getting her brain together means she'll police herself when she's not in either of our sight. Her dad and I raised a daughter who would call us if the kids that she's hanging out with decided to do something different than they told her. She was genuinely, within herself, intrinsically motivated and upset and wanted to leave. They lied to her and she didn't enjoy it. And she had in fact called to be picked up. The adults that saw this happen confirmed it. Not because I asked them to, but I saw the look on my baby face and the emotion. I know for a fact she was upset and didn't want to be there anymore. The adults that saw that happen told me on their own. And you know why? Because even after her dad and I split, we let her know and made sure that she internalized the fact that it had nothing to do with either of us not loving her, and that she is still valued, and that she has a chance in life, and that she controls that. Not me, not her father, because what happens when she turns 18? She is valued because she is gorgeous, has a bubbly personality, is very intelligent, and has a sensitive and caring heart, but also feels strong enough and empowered enough to protect that within herself, and is not embarrassed to call for backup if she should need it. She knows that she's not going to be met with a bunch of accusations. So Those mothers did those girls with that DJ dude a huge disservice. I don't care who they were trying to model. What difference does it make? The fact of the matter is that they weren't doing what they were supposed to do. There are things that are competing alternatives. Some things, if you're doing one action, you cannot, it's physically impossible to do the other. And that helps me to not have to hit my children. I had to be the only Black woman that doesn't beat her children because it doesn't work. Not for what you think it is. So, T.I., the mothers of those girls, and parents that beat their children is counterproductive. I understand you feel empowered. I get it. And you'd rather be doing something than nothing. But what I'm telling you is that from a person that works with kids, it doesn't do what you think it does. And I applaud your efforts. But sometimes the result is not the desired result. And you're literally settling for a life of, well, at least I tried. That's a wonderful thing, but it requires action after you say that. Get up and try something else because that didn't work. It also entails you being intelligent to know when to let go of plan A. As humans, we all struggle with that. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm by no means perfect. But what I can say is I do have something valuable to add to this community. And that is experience. I talk with teenagers, kids, teenagers, for whatever reason, feel extremely comfortable talking to me. And I think that's because I give them a solid answer. I also don't pretend that I know everything. I tell them what I've seen work and in what circumstance. And basically, I stay there with them and help them ad lib until they find a plan that works for them. Their parents should be doing that, but we like to accept in the Black community that the parents are working, that the parents have all of this, uh, discrimination that they have to fight every day, that they're emotionally tired. Okay, well, then, I'm sorry. I think it's selfish for you to be sleeping with anyone at all, protection or not, because protection fails. And you have to understand that there is a possibility that a child will still be created. So I'm not accepting that as an excuse because if you're that tired, you don't have time to do all of this other stuff. I do think that men should value their sperm more. You watch your wallet, right? Well, treat sperm like dollars. Watch where it is. Be careful who has access to it. Some women shouldn't even know where your sperm is being held during the day. They should be that far from you if you know that there's no chance that you could see yourself with this person at least for 20 years to raise a child should one be created. If you have to see somebody for no more than 10 minutes before and after a specific behavior, this is not somebody you should try to do anything that might possibly tie your life to them. And I'm not just only speaking about sex, relationships, dating, marriage, parenting. What about in the business world too? We have a lot of business ideas that are good, but they fail because you literally can't stand the personality of a person that you're going into business with. And so you show up, you do the job with them, and then you can't even talk to them afterwards. That's not somebody that's going to have your best interest at heart with this business. And then you'll have a lot of negative, underhanded things that happen because they don't value you and you don't value them. We have to stop making connections of any kind that have ulterior motives, being more genuine. So, what does this all have to do with the life big question? Coexistence. You don't have to approve of everything, but the ones that are helpful deserve respect, and the ones that are unhelpful do not. standing for something. What are your standards? What are your morals? What are your values? What are you about? What is your name synonymous with? Do you even know? So I don't really have a whole lot more on this subject. And I'm just now getting into live, so this was the inaugural live stream for the channel. And I hope to have more conversations in this manner. So um the next live, I think the topic is going to be healing in the Black community. Is it possible or not? And I want to talk about 4 distinct things that I believe need to be part of the ingredients for our healing, which is pride, honor, respect, and truth. I'm gonna try to go live again tomorrow around the same time. I think I got the hang of this. And so if there's oh, hi Kenny. I'm definitely gonna have to make you a mod. You're a mod on everybody else, and I'm jealous. Just kidding around. Um, so I will try to go live again tomorrow on around the same time, and maybe one day I'll be able to actually have a panel on this, because my goal is to be able to start these discussions. And I have specific questions that I want to ask, because I've been having these conversations in my daily life. And eventually, I want us to be able to all agree on what we want the community to look like, because I believe that that's what all this waywardness is. We don't have a definition. We have a culture, and we have opinions about this culture. We don't agree on it. We don't all do it. And therefore, it's not defined. So I think that if we can do that, then we'll at least have the hope of peace going forward, because I think that that's what we deserve as a culture. After everything that we've been through, I think we deserve that, and I think it's possible. I think we can get it, but it's going to take work, and it's not going to be overnight. But well, thank you guys, everybody who came in. Thanks everybody for listening. I will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time.